Hello, and welcome to the Disc Dungeon, where we put you on to musics and melodies in the deepest, darkest dungeons of your computer disk. I'm your co-host, Joe Dove, and with me as always,
Julian Valencia. And if there's one thing we love talking about, it's music. What's up, guys?
Welcome back.
Episode 22.
Numbers.
What is up? What is up?
How you doing?
Pretty good, guys. As Joe slightly put in there, this is called Numbers.
Yeah, man.
Disc Dungeon number 22.
Yep.
Guys, so we've had a couple weeks off. I've been on vacation.
Well, if you're listening to the stream, we've had a couple of weeks off on the...
Correct. If you're following the podcast, we are way ahead.
Yeah, we're still good.
We're still a couple episodes ahead.
We're so hardworking that
I know.
People are like, God, these guys don't take a break.
Guys, so what we recommended to each other, not last week, not the week before, but the week before that, this week I was listening to Massive Attack again, album called Mezzanine. And this is actually the 2019 remaster.
Yes.
That I listened to, right?
Right.
Because it originally came out in 1998.
1998. Can you believe it's been 20 years?
It's been 20 years.
20 years in 2020.
In 1998, I was 8 years old.
Oh.
There's a
deflated.
there's actually a particular number that comes up a lot it's going to come up a lot in this episode.
Yes.
And it came out in 1998.
Yep.
The number 4, for some reason, we're seeing a lot of connections to what we do, music, life, to the number 4.
Yep. And this year is 2020.
2020, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 4.
This is the 20th anniversary of the Mezzanine album.
This is episode number 22. 2 plus 2
equals 4.
Yeah, guys. Actually, I looked it up in numerology. The number 4 represents focus.
Focus.
444. It's actually it's very powerful, symmetrical number.
And 4 is also, it happens to be the total of the numbers when you add them together of the album that you put me onto.
That's right. 1111 is the name of the album that I put Joe onto.
By Rodrigo y Gabriela.
Rodrigo y Gabriela.
That was pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
not
good.
Bad, not bad.
And yeah, so I'll get right into. Let me put you on. Guys, so overall, this album it's a soundscape album. It's trip hop. It's about 90% instrumental, 10% vocals. Not a lot of vocals on there, and the vocals that are on there, they're very you kind of have to have the lyrics in front of you in order to really understand what they're saying.
And that's because they're from London.
They're from London. I mean, either that or really the focus is just the instrumental. And at any point in the song, even when there's vocals, the instrumental really is up and center. The album itself, this is an album that I'd be listening to help me probably go to sleep.
Oh,
this is something because of the soundscapes, because it kind of reminds me of different scenes and movies. I mean, you were telling me that this album itself has been on a couple different
yeah, it's actually in 4 different movies. 4 different movies. Yes. Most famously, that folks will remember being The Matrix. Dissolve Girl was the scene that Neo was sleeping, and that and it's ironic that you say that this is help you put you to sleep because Neo was sleeping in the scene listening to Massive Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Danny the dog used this. They used a version of it in the movie Unleashed that was with Jet Li.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it has a dark mood to it. So, I mean, I think any scene that's aggressive or dark, or maybe just a very dark themed movie, I mean, the soundtrack or this album will definitely fit there.
Yeah, and the theme of 4 has so many different dark, deep meanings. We've got 4 vocalists on this album. We had DJ Daddy G took a break, and then they added Horace Andy, who has the Caribbean sound that you hear on The Exchange, the last song. You see a man's face, but you never know his heart. And then you have Elizabeth Fraser from Cocteau Twins, who's a very famous synth artist from Britain way back in the 80s. It's just amazing to hear so many of these these voices on this track. It was Sandy's on it as well. DJ Niles himself. Now, the album also sold 4 million copies.
Oh,
4 of which I bought because I had loved this album, and I bought it and I played it, and it was scratched up because CDs weren't as durable as digital because it's just one place, a phone. Whereas most of the time, a CD, you have to take it out of the player, put it in. And remember, like, you had to feed the CD in?
Yes.
And then it was like, wait, and so I scratched it up, played it so many times. So I said, all right, got to buy it again. I bought it 4 times. And it's ironic that 4, 20 years ago when I first started this, I walked from where I lived in Westchester and Mount Vernon, from one end of Westchester to the other end of Westchester to Yonkers to buy this album 3 of the 4 times.
The number 4, like we were saying, it just has a lot of, it ties in a lot of ways. There's, you said that there was 4 particular singles on here that were massive hits in Europe, right?
That's correct. 2 of them were from different movies. The other one were just great songs. My favorite song from this is Inertia Creeps.
Inertia Creeps. It's a cool name.
And it's like such a deep, dark, sinister, almost demonic tone to it. It just, that's not why I like it, but it's just, it has that throw, and I really enjoyed that particular song. It's probably one of my favorites off the album. And they use this song in a TV show called House, a version of Angel or Teardrop.
In the show House?
In the show House. It's like, there's a weird mix of it in the beginning of the show House. And it's probably one of my favorite, another one of my favorite songs off the album. That was a big hit. This was their most commercially successful album for the band. This is the transition from the soulful trip hop, the acid jazz that they were doing, into more of the electronic end of Massive Attack.
Okay.
This is when they switched from, once they got that on that soundtrack for The Matrix, they actually but teamed up with Madonna and Babyface on her Take a Bow single.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. There's a song, I Want You the Right Way, that they worked out with her. So
I Want You the Right Way.
Yeah. I want you the right way, but I want you to want me, baby.
Yeah, I would say, all in all, I'd give this a rating of 6.
Mm-hmm.
Not really high up there, but that's just simply because, this is for me, this is an album, like I said, to enjoy in a particular way. There's no, I really can't say there's any memorable part of it for me, at least. You know what I mean? There's no part, I didn't find myself singing, catching on to any tune in particular, but obviously the production and the remaster was something that made the production value amazing. And it obviously, 4 of these were singles in Europe, so there's a market for it. There's people out there who as yourself, really love Massive Attack.
More than just me. Yeah, he's big here in Brooklyn. As a matter of fact,
got it.
On 84 Withers Street, where our studio.
That's right, guys.
Yeah,
4. 8 minus 4 equals 4. 1. All right, we're stretching a little bit now.
I also learned that the number 4 is actually a negative connotation for folks in China. Having traveled to China myself, there's no 4th floor in a lot of the buildings because
interesting.
The word 4, which I don't remember, I think it's like sure and some of that, but it actually is so close to the word death that they don't use the number 4. So that's why, 4, you won't get any 4th floor in a building.
Yeah, it's kind of like the number 7. The number 7 is a lucky number in a lot of places, but in certain places, the number 7 is actually unlucky. You know? So it's interesting how culture also plays a lot into, what we think is good, what we think is bad, what's acceptable, what's not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, numbers are a very imperative thing for growth and loss, because that's how you do your taxes, folks.
Yeah, and they also say that the human body goes it goes through major changes every 7 years, right? So I am 30 now, so I am currently in my 4th segment of my life.
Wow, you've made it, my friend.
I've made it to the 4th segment.
4th segment. And I always did the tricks of the keys. 4th segment. Oh, that means that.
Oh, we have 4 segments in
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of symmetry, right?
Yeah.
I think the number 2 is also very powerful, and then 4 is just a double of that. I see 4 everywhere: 4 tires, 4 valves in our heart,
Yep.
4
4 directions and the compass.
4 directions in a compass, 4 seasons. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a reason why 4 is also tied to focus. You know?
4 divisions on an analog clock.
Okay, this is true.
Yeah.
This is true. You can
Divide it by 4. Yeah. Well, let's get into what you put me on, and that's Rodrigo y Gabriela
yes.
and their album 1111, which there's a guy named Mars Lazar. Not putting you onto it, because if you thought that put you to sleep, Mars Lazar is a lullaby. But he had an album called 1111. But this duo here is legendary. Flamingo Sounds, that acoustic guitar playing so high, it's like a Spanish guitar. It's one of my favorite sounds in music. I love the high frequency. It's like a mastery of keys. It's very fiery, passionate. It's like you want to grab your lover, and, start going and
And dance.
and dance. You want to go very strong, very hard. Dance there. Hello, hello. So I thought it was a beautiful cinematic-esque journey as well. I felt like, similar to Massive Attack, their arrangement was very well done. And similar to Massive Attack, their music was used in Pirates of the Caribbean. So, yeah.
Which one?
The 4th one with
4.
4. With the Spanish actor from...
I know who you're talking
You know
about.
who I'm talking
I
about?
don't know his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's in that. That's 4. I really enjoyed that. And their instrumental is not just solely guitars, even though that's heavily reminiscent of Mike Oldfield, who's one of my favorite composers. I've spoken about Mike Oldfield before. I put you onto one song of his, just like I put you onto one song of Massive Attack. Now I'm giving you the whole album.
Yes.
And the reason why I put you onto the singular song of Massive Attack is because of the original arrangement. It used to break a lot of my friends' speakers back when I wasn't driving. And when I got my car and I knew that song was coming on, I was like, let me turn this down a little bit so I don't fuck up my speakers. But their re-imagery of this album 20 years later, it's a beautiful mastery of it. And it's interesting that though their sounds are very, very cinematic and very large and bigger than they are, numerology trivia, yes. They don't rely just on the guitar. They have tempos of the guitar, which is great. Like I said, reminds me of Goldfield. They have this beautiful acoustic Spanish guitar, that high-pitched frequency, which is very reminiscent of the amazing album Living Sea, which is a beautiful, soulful take of the Soul Cages. A must-hear in the Sting discography. Yes, Sting.
Oh, man.
And this is the 4th time I'm mentioning Sting, right? In the show?
Oh, that's not true.
No?
I don't think we should lie to our audience. I think it's more about 22 times.
Oh, 22 times.
4.
4. My birthday, the 22nd. 4.
You remember that movie with Jim Carrey, 23?
Yeah.
That is exactly what we're doing today.
Yeah,
yes.
numerology. True.
In every single way, 4 is the answer.
Yes. How many drinks did I have today? 4, officer. No.
He going to jail now.
You done did it. You're going to jail. But I digress. The music here, you will find echoes of distant instrumentals. You'll find echoes of blissful keys from a piano and drums, and there's almost a slight record scratching that can be heard blended into the tracks of that song. I believe it's Tress. And I thought that was magnificent. There's no vocals on this whatsoever. I know you need the lyrics for Massive Attack to understand what Neil Daj is saying, but that album has a lot more lyrics than you think. Teardrop, maybe not so much, because Elizabeth Fraser is known for just kind of scatting, so to speak, just saying phrases and things that sound angelic. And I always found her voice to be haunting. And there's a woman that does that now. Her name is there's a singer that does that now. It's just amazing. I love when I hear a woman's voice that's like haunting. She works on a lot of like I said, the Cocteau Twins, but she works on a lot of other songs. But she actually mostly doesn't speak anything. It's just kind of soundscapes and noises that just kind of blend melodious with the songs. It's great. Like I said, the final song on the album, especially, that reminded me of like the end of a film, where like you had the big epilogue that's going off after a massive conclusion of whatever it was that happened in the film.
Yeah.
So I found that to be exciting, and it built it up to me because the album wasn't just staying in one vein. It kind of went one way, built up, came back down, and then built back up, and then that one was like the big finale.
Crescendo.
I thought it was the crescendo, yes. Crescendo. Acting. So I enjoyed it. I'm going to give this an 8.
Okay, cool.
You know, it would have been cool if they would have like had one vocalist on there. I thought that would have done it a little bit more. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, Mike Oldfield vein here. I'm wondering if they actually were influenced by him because he did that with his first albums, but he did add vocals in at some point. And I would almost venture to say that they could have blended this as one like long song like he does. He was famous for Tubular Bells. Do you remember The Exorcist?
I remember The Exorcist. Yeah.
That's him. He did that. He did it at like 17.
Okay. Wow.
And he made this like Beethoven-esque masterpiece at 17 years old. And that's one of the biggest selling records in Britain. Massive Attack similarly has been several times listed, 4 times listed. No, it's probably more than that. But listed as some of the greatest. This album particularly was listed as one of the greatest albums in British music. So it's amazing what this album actually did and has done. But I really enjoyed that, and I'm going to be listening to more of their Cinescape sounds of Rodrigo y Gabriela.
Yeah, I mean, to segue into our next section, music saved my life. Rodrigo y Gabriela was actually, they influenced a movement in myself, I would say, in a way. At this point, this album came out in 2009. At that point, I was definitely into music. I was starting to play the guitar. And one of the biggest influences was the progression. You know, I had already been listening to tons of mainstream music. I was listening to underground punk artists. But if you guys don't know, music is typically in 4/4. What does that mean? That means that there's 4 beats per, not per minute, but there's 4 beats per section. So if you're counting the song, you're usually going to end up on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To give you a comparison would be like the waltz. The waltz is in 3. The waltz is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But typically everything we've recommended on this show and pretty much everything you're probably ever going to listen to is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is because that is the perfect number for listening in terms of what's going to stay stuck in your head. Like what Americans and Western civilization deem to be catchy and mainstream. And so I questioned that when I would listen to Rodrigo Gabriela and to other bands that would move away from this particular schematic. I myself started to be influenced by that. I started playing songs in 3/3 and 5/8 and 7/8.
4 beats per measure.
Exactly. And then I was playing all around. I used to be big into bands that were, typically you see this in bands that are categorized as prog rock.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even more so, I'm talking about like Portishead and what's another good example of that? Some famous bands did it as well, but Portishead typically did it in almost all their songs. They'd play
Police?
The Police did it as well.
Yeah.
They also had some songs where they would get out of that 4/4, and it's interesting because 4/4 is nice. It feels good. It feels comfortable. There's always a resolution. But when you're in when you're playing in these different tempos, you're not always getting that resolution that you're used to in mainstream music.
Right.
And this is the reason why it's not really the mainstream, because typically when you're listening to something, you want that intro, you want that build up, you want that climax, and you want that resolution. 4 sections, four parts to what we typically hear, even if the song structure is different. This schematic is always there. 4 beats per measure, exactly. Thank you, Virginia.
Yeah.
I was like 4 beats per min for 4 beats per. back.
We went back to being robots.
Exactly. And so this definitely reminds me of a time in my life where I was rebel. I wasn't trying to fit the mold. I was trying to be outside of that. And the way that I exhibited that was trying to change the tempo up in songs. Sometimes even mid song, the song might start off in 4/4 and end up in 5/8 or something else. I was going to connect this to something deeper in my life, but I mean, the overall message is that we all go through this rebellious phase, and pretty much at that point, that was me. I mean, especially I was listening to punk rock. I mean, that's the epitome.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
revolution.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Mom?
Me, I never understood all of that. Because I'm not a musically trained person.
Okay.
I just like music. But obviously it surrounds me everywhere I am because of the types of music that I listen to. I didn't have a rebellious streak. I was kind of like responsible one. I was the one that my friends were like, here are the keys, I'm going to go get drunk. You know what I mean? So for me, a lot of everything I listened to was very Massive Attack. The most punk rock I ever got was the Police or the Sex Pistols.
Okay.
But I never really had the thank you, Virginia. I never really had the inclination to have such a rebellious streak. I was very, like I said, calm, collected. But I'm the type of person that likes to plan. So like I'll plan things that may not come into fruition, but I'm not desperately, but maybe trying to calculate it all as it goes along in groups of 4. How's that sound?
Oh, in groups. You trying to tie it into 4?
Yes, I'm going back into it. No, but I try my best to ensure that things that I'm working on get planned to the extent that it comes out clearly and it's focused. And it's ironic that 4, and like you said earlier, is the number of focus.
Yes, exactly.
So it's funny that correlation that I didn't even notice that's been going on the whole time. Like currently I'm working on some projects of my own videography wise, and I'm on my 3rd, and apparently both groups are talking to other groups, and I will have 4 or 8 by the time I'm done. But as I am praying on it and hoping on it, I'm not going to just think that it's going to come to fruition because of talk. I am, going to remind people of the things that I can bring to their repertoire and help them expand and reach folks. So, I'm excited. And, as I said, I'm not really, I'm not musically trained. I just listen to a lot of music, and my music catalog, the genres that I like are endless. I go from world to jazz to trip hop to rock to R&B to rap to
Sting. To Sting.
I talk about Sting a lot because, from the 80s, it was the Police. And then from the late 80s, it was his solo career. And it was just so much of Sting that, he comes up a lot.
It's okay.
But, I don't know. I just found a lot of his, besides his music and melody, his lyrics kind of sang to me a lot, dealing with the distance of one parent and then getting away from them. And by the time you come back, it's too late. And a lot of deep connection with his lyrics. And there's one song called 1,000 Years that I really liked.
Okay.
That's like the ultimate love song. But there is an artist that I want you to, Jane Meinhardt. Hey, New Chile, how you doing? Do you know Riley Ritchie?
No, I do not.
So I'm going to put you on to a hip hop artist from Britain called Riley Ritchie.
Okay.
And Riley Ritchie, you may know from a very famous HBO television show called Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he played Grey Worm.
Ah.
And he happens to be a hip hop artist. He's very good. And I'm going to put you on to his, not his latest album, but his album before. He just had a baby and he dropped an album. And a couple of my favorite artists dropped some albums. So I'm getting a little, I mean, not Sting or or Enigma or anybody, but like, the side twos, Fantagram just dropped an album and Glass Animals. Do you know them?
I know Glass Animals.
Oh, you know what Glass Animals?
Yeah.
Did you hear that new album?
No.
Oh. What did Billy? Oh, I know them.
Well,
did you hear the new one? No.
A little fun fact about me, even the bands that I like, even the artists that I follow, you know what I mean? It takes me a while to get to their albums. I think something deters me from being part of the hype when an album first comes out. I like to listen to it when I'm not hyped about it, so that it doesn't influence how much I like it, because sometimes you listen to something, you have such high expectations and it still may be a good song, but because your expectations were so high, or you go into it thinking it's a terrible album and then the album's okay and it becomes automatically this amazing album because your expectations were so much higher. So I just go into it when it feels right. You know? And it's usually months after its release.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I do that sometimes, like Delirium, I miss because their album comes out and because it's not like a Justin Timberlake and oversaturated music in that vein. So I end up stumbling on it going, oh, great, they put out an album. And that's a lot of the times with some of the music I listen to. And then I'll go and search and be like, where's going on? Like Michael Cretu. It's like, where's your new album? That's the Enigma guy. Remember? I'm like, where's your album? I'll like email him. I mean, I wish I had his direct email. I'll bring him on the show, but I'll email like his website or Facebook. Like, hey, I really want a new album. Can you come out with that?
Hey, Riley dropped an album and his wife dropped a baby. That's great.
That's great.
That's a good relationship.
That is. It's true. I'm really looking forward to you listening to that album. I think it's different. It's not like Massive Attack where it's all melodic. It's got a lot more flow and a lot more lyrical based. So he's more hip hop than he is trip hop. Okay. So I'm really looking forward to getting that from you.
Okay. Well, as always, I don't know yet.
Yep.
And I feel like I like to take my time, so you're just gonna have to wait.
Once again. I mean, last time you actually like put me on to somebody.
Well, because it made sense. You know? I mean, for me, when I put you guys onto, or when I put Joe onto an album, I like it to really tie into what we're talking about in the show. So I'm gonna take my time with it and figure out.
I'm assuming that whoever you're gonna put me onto, it's gonna be their fourth album. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know. Maybe. Roots Manuva is another good UK rapper. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Who's this? Nulchi 3?
Yeah, Nulchi 3.
Well, hello, guy.
Hello,
welcome
girl, to the
girl or guy person. Or him or her. Or
super excited that you're with us and welcome to the Disc Dungeon.
Thank you for being here.
I'm your co-host, Joe Dub. No, I'm Joe Dub. This is my man, Julian Valencia, singer, music producer, one of the epic pillars of the trio called Made by Audios. And that brings us to, right? We're wrapping that up. Okay. Hey, it's Frank. What's up, Frank?
What's up, Frank?
Behind the beat.
This is our behind the beat section, guys. Guys, this week, obviously there's been a lot of vacation, a lot of relaxation happening. So you know what they say: work hard, play harder.
Yeah.
So yeah. I've been all about that for the past few weeks, and now it's time to buckle down, guys. I'm in the midst of making an album myself.
Ooh, album.
This album is going to be called Shades of Green.
Oh, 50 Shades of Green?
No. Oh. Maybe about 20 shades because it's going to be a pretty long album.
Oh.
But the gist of it is there's a couple things I'm doing with this album. First, there won't be any song titles. Every song is going to be represented by a emoji.
Okay.
A green emoji, to be exact.
Oh.
Exactly. So, for example, there's
eggplant. Sorry.
Eggplant is purple.
Oh, yeah, but it's a green top.
It's a green top. I mean, maybe the song could be called Green Top.
Yeah.
Yo, she giving me that green top. Yeah. I'm feeling sick when she on and she don't stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the gist is that, so green is my favorite color, guys. And and it used to be blue. You know, when I was growing up, blue used to be my favorite color. And at one point, I just started to realize that green resonated with me quite a lot, and it's everywhere. You know, there's just green is in everything, especially in nature. And so I took this concept. I said to myself, no song titles, because I want people to do some research. You know, I want them to investigate to find out what the song titles.
You are going to be an enigma?
I'm going to be enigmatic.
Well done.
Is that a word? Virginia?
Enigmatic, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm asking Virginia.
Oh, she is pretty.
She's our fact checker.
Virginia is enigmatic a word? Yes, it is, right?
And so, like, for example, there's a song on the album that is represented by a snake. So it's the snake emoji. And this is going to be one of my Spanish reggaeton songs, and it's about this girl or this person who is wrapping me in her lies. She's giving me these half truths that are wrapped in lies. And so it's this. Of course, it's this concept of a snake. The chorus at one point says that I'm tired of your fakeness, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just waiting for you to drop the truth from your own mouth. You ever heard that saying? In Spanish, it's el pez cae por la boca, which means that a fish is caught by its mouth. In other words, that when you lie, I mean, you don't really got to figure out, what the lie is, because people will eventually step on their own toes and they'll end up telling you the truth.
Yeah, they'll stumble and you'll get caught.
You'll get caught, exactly. So that's just one example, and it goes, and the other thing that I wanted to do with this is that, as you guys can notice, if you're in the podcast, you won't see this, but I've been letting my hair grow out. And the visuals as well are going to represent the moods of the songs. So there's a bunch of angry, aggressive songs on there. There's a bunch of club, I just want to dance and party and tap that ass type of songs. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of this is deep, I'm in love, romantic type of songs. Mm-hmm. And then there's a whole other sections of revolution, conscious, where are we now as humans? What do we need to do to be better? So there's there's four major. There it goes again. So there's four major transitions, I guess, in this album that you're going to see, and that's also going to be represented by the visuals and how I look. I'm going to start off as this long-haired, disheveled, facial hair, not really taking care of himself,
sexy mustache,
type of look. Then it's going to go into maybe more of a clean cut, keep the mustache,
sexy mustache.
You know what I mean? Kind of more of a, I'm very well kept. Then it's going to go into. Then I'm going to buzz my hair. I'm going to buzz my face. I'm going to just be completely revolution.
Eyebrows too?
No, not the eyebrows. I've never shaved or done my eyebrows before. So essentially I want the visuals behind this album to also represent the moods of the songs. So yeah, I mean, guys, as always, I am part of a company called Audios. We have an Instagram that's called Made by Audios. You can pretty much find us everywhere by that moniker, Made by Audios. And it's me, Henry, and Joel. The three of us, we came together and we decided to start our own production company / artist development. And we've been doing this for about 1.5 years, 2 years now. And we're excited. We're excited if you're here and if you've heard of us, and if you're not following us, make sure you follow us. We'd love to hear from you. There's a lot of music coming out, not just from me, but from other artists as well. And big shout out to Joel as well.
Always.
Joel,
picking up cows.
Joe picking up cows and while he's picking up cows, he engineers
this
podcast. He's truly amazing. He's truly one of a kind.
And if you haven't heard, you got to go make sure, especially you, Frank and Virginia, go down to iHeartRadio or Spotify, wherever you stream and listen to the podcast. You've got to hear these music blend masterpieces that Joel puts in between our little segments. They are ear-dropping, eye-popping, and pleasant to all.
Well, guys, that was our Behind the Beat section. As always, our fourth section.
Speaking of Ratchet.
Speaking of Ratchet, is Tricks of the Keys.
We bring you tricks of the keys.
So this Tricks of the Keys is not for those little ones bopping around. Make sure they're away from the room. I'll give you a second. Make sure they're not listening to the podcast. We want to just have the adults in the room, okay? Just us?
Okay.
All right, thank you. So this week's Tricks of the Keys is from one of my favorite bands that I don't really talk much about because they're more of a screaming and high frequency, velocity, whatever you want to say. That's Aerosmith and their song, Big 10 Inch. It's very self-evident, but the lyric is...
Tell me about these 10 inches.
The lyric is a double meaning. But I really get her going when I whip out my Big 10 Inch record of a band that plays the blues. Now, Big 10 Inch refers to the old vinyl records, those giant discs that we put these dungeons on, were the basis of what we based the original spelling of the Dusan disc dungeon, which was the DISC. But we switched to disc because everything is based off of a computer disc now. Anyway, as you know, as I said, vinyl records were 10 inches. But it's also a play on words with the penis. 10-inch penis.
So he's trying to say penis, guys. He's trying to make it a little obscure, but I really don't give a shit. So
No. Got a big head, 10-inch wang.
But I love that. I love when music does that. I love when they are saying that, but they're also saying something else.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna bring out my 10-inch. She's gonna love it. My 10-inch record.
What'd you think I was saying? Yeah, I mean, in our this episode, we focus so much on numbers, and part of the reason why we picked this Tricks of the Keys as well, because numbers and everything in music and life, it always has such a specific meaning. The day that we're born, our date of birth, our social security number. We're pretty much like on this assembly line, and we're just tagged with these numbers for the rest of our lives, our phone numbers. So just numbers are important, and it's we poke fun at it, but it's good to be aware of recurring patterns.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's it.
That's it, man.
That's all we have for you today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us in the down depths of Dastrus.
In the dark, down.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, please. Share with your friends the divulsions of music that Julian and I share with you each and every week on the Disc Dungeon podcast.
And if you're into numerology, we'd love to hear what you think about what we brought forth today. I'm Julian Valencia.
And I'm Joe Dove.
Thank you for being with us, guys.
See ya. The last picture. Wow, 14.
Yeah.
That's dope.